6 locations via the miracle of Skype. It's the LTN Hour. Let's talk NASCAR with your host, Todd Bailing, co-hosts Brian Schmidt, PJ Noodleman, and producer Dangerous Dan Margetta. Call the show anytime at 414-421-7901. And now, the creator and host of the fastest hour in radio, Todd Bailing.
You know, when I was a kid, I couldn't even see myself living past 41 because you don't understand those numbers when you're a kid. And here we are, starting the 41st season of LTN. Right here on Fox Sports 920. Thanks so much for tuning in as we kick off yet another season of frivolity with my three partners, beginning with Brian Schmidt in Oostburg, Wisconsin.
Happy New Year from frigid Oostburg, where it's 9 degrees on January 5th.
I have heard that. PJ Noodleman's probably much nicer out in Trempealeau, isn't it?
Mostly cloudy, 7 degrees at Trempealeau.
Oh, good God. And, down south in St. Francis, Wisconsin, where Dan Margetta's hanging out, that's got to be the hot spot, I guess.
Yep, it's a whole 11 degrees here, but no snow on the ground, so we're happy.
That's it. Once again, the off season has been dominated by the talk of the lawsuit and the positioning for the lawsuit and lawyers and how we're going to spend money on lawyers and what they're going to do for their money. And it's very confusing for me. Thank goodness Dan Margetta has a mind for legal matters and has studied the latest positioning from the two opposite ends of the spectrum.
I don't think a whole lot has happened in the last 2 weeks because of the holidays. It's kind of been where it was going into the last time we were on the air. You know, the teams won their injunction. They were able to run as chartered cars. Then they were able to get the Stewart Haas charters that they were hoping to buy, which they apparently did. Front Row, I think, announced theirs already. That's done now. 2311 has to formally request to get that transfer or that sale of the charter. That wasn't part of the injunction. It was just the Front Row one. But NASCAR already said they're not going to challenge that because it would be kind of, futile because the judge already said they can do it. So when they request theirs, which is going to happen if it didn't happen already, those teams will run as chartered cars next year with this lawsuit going on in the background. Now NASCAR can appeal the whole injunction decision as a whole, which I think they're going to do probably this week coming up, and we'll see where it goes from there. It'll be a whole bunch of appeals and motions, and it'll probably take all year to get this done.
You know, it seems to me, and I think we've talked about it on the program, that the absolute bottom line last thing NASCAR wants to do is open their books. So doesn't it seem as though if that is the ultimate goal, that they cannot possibly open their books, that they're going to have a settlement before any real decisions are made in the courts?
You'd think so. I mean, that would probably be the best interest to have everything, put to bed and be done so we can go racing and concentrate on that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what are the teams seeking. I don't think they've ever spelled out what they want to win. Like, should they win this, what do they want to get? I mean, specifically.
No kidding.
It almost seems like their biggest thing is that they want NASCAR to open their books.
Yes.
They want to see that they spend, $50 million to do a street circuit in Chicago, or they spent X amount of $1 million to pave the Coliseum. I think the teams want that out in the open so that they can say, hey, this is not a fruitful way to go about your business.
Mm-hmm.
Just because these networks tell you that they want some pizzazz to their thing, but we got speedways sitting empty in, Kentucky and Chicago and these empty tracks, yet you're spending money to do all these other things in these big cities. That almost seems to me like that's one of the big ulterior motives of what they're looking for, is to get this out so everybody can see this and kind of gasp.
And the teams supposedly are losing money, right?
Yeah,
So, it makes sense, therefore, to try and pull their pants down and make them open up their books. And that's NASCAR. It's interesting to see what, where this is going to go and how they're going to do it. And
looks like Wednesday, January 8th, is the hearing on this motion to dismiss from NASCAR. So that's the next step you'll see, is Wednesday be the next hearing.
That's the next one. All right, that's this Wednesday. Much in the world of racing has, we've seen some interesting things this week from the ASA Stars Series, and after our next break, we're going to talk to the Director of Operations from the ASA Stars Series, Marty Mello, who's going to kind of tell us how that series, we were concerned about the long term with that with ASA. It seemed like something was missing out of the whole thing, and I got a funny feeling that we've made some real positive moves, especially this last week with some announcements, and Marty will be able to tell us a little bit about that and the future of the ASA Star Series for the next few years. So that'll be pretty cool stuff. Before we go much further, I'd like to say happy birthday, Dan.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What is it?
Yesterday.
I can't drive 55. Is that right?
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. It's time to. I guess I get discounts going forward. Not that I'm looking forward to that.
You can now buy a house in Sun City, Arizona. Dan, if you buy it now, it'll be paid for by the time. No. I was going to say don't take out a long-term loan. Whatever.
I was going to say now you're really killing the casinos. Not only are you winning, you're getting discounted food.
Get the senior free money.
Isn't that great? By the way, in the city of South Milwaukee, what is the minimum retirement age? I'm just curious.
I'm there now. You can go at 55, and I'm not going to. I still got a couple years to go, but that's where you can. I'm at that point where you're eligible. Let's put it that way.
All right. Well, either way.
I've been there 36 years, I think, starting this year, 35.
Wow.
That's amazing. Well, from all of us, Dan, happy birthday. It was actually yesterday, but, we celebrate all week on this program, so it's good news all the way around. Speaking of old people, Mike Wallace is going to attempt the Daytona 500 this year. He's 65 years old, and he's going to be in a back marker car. Is this really news? It's good for Kenny. Gives him some content for his shows and all that. But really, I suppose having a 65-year-old driver attempting to make the greatest stock car race on earth is newsworthy. MBM Motorsports number 66. Dan, I know in the back of your head you can tell me more about MBM. Who drove for him?
Yeah, Carl Long's car. I think Josh Balicki had some runs in that car. It's obviously not a top-notch car. It's probably the back marker, but at Daytona, does it really matter, Brian? I mean,
no.
You just got to get in the race.
Absolutely not. As long as your car can draft, you're fine. So, I mean, for anybody to say, it doesn't make a difference. Hey, remember that. Well, it's not plate racing anymore. We call it super speedway racing. It's all bets are off. Anybody can be a part of it, and in the duels, hey, it'll be kind of interesting. There's a fair amount of cars this year. There might be 4, 5, or 6 cars that go home in the duels this year. So maybe there'll be a little bit of pizzazz to those Thursday night races.
Before you start betting on this guy, keep in mind Jimmy Johnson hopped into one of these new cars and couldn't make it go. And Jimmy Johnson is, about 50? Mike Wallace at 65 hasn't been in a race car in how many years? And he's going to race at Daytona for the first time in how many years? In a car that he's never sat in before? Yeah. Unless you can get about 1,000 to 1, I wouldn't put a hell of a lot of money on him myself.
Remember, 2 years ago, somebody made a parlay bet on like DraftKings or FanDuel or BetMGM, one of those. That was all those back marker cars. They all had to finish in the top 10. I think there were 5 of them. And that was the year when it rained in turn 1 and they crashed them all at the field, and those 5 cars finished in the top 10, and that like $20 bet paid like $900,000. So it can happen.
Woo! Yeah. Well, there you go. See, there's hope. At Daytona, we never know what's going to happen. By the way, speaking of Daytona, it is 4 weeks to the Clash. I almost called it the Busch Clash, but it's not the Busch Clash anymore, folks. It's the Cookout Clash. What the hell that is, I'm real not sure. It's some kind of a restaurant chain in Charlotte. Is that it?
Don't knock it, man. Sponsorships make the world go round. So
we'll know more about it now. Of course, they did the Southern 500, didn't they?
Yeah, they've been the sponsor of the Southern 500. It's a chain down in Charlotte. Dan, have you ever been to one of those down there?
I have. It was right outside my hotel, and I'll go to the 600. I walked over there and had some food. And even after the races, once the drive-through was packed, because that's where everybody was going to get their burgers for the night.
That's what it is, a burger joint?
Yeah, mostly hamburgers, that kind of stuff.
The Cookout Clash. 4 weeks from today. Tell me that's not great. We'll be back with Marty Mello right after these.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit PMFlandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
The Milwaukee Admirals have a 2-game winning streak. They'll try to make it 3 when they host the Manitoba Moose Wednesday night at Panther Arena. In front of the net, a couple of swats at it. The puck in the cage. It is! The Admirals score! Big-game coverage at 6:30. Face-off at 7 on Fox Sports 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
And welcome back to LTN, the season premiere for our 41st season right here on Fox Sports 920, and it's a real honor for us. For the first time, we are having Marty Mello. He's the Director of Operations and Sales for the ASA Stars Series. And this week they had a huge announcement. It's called the Platinum Program, and Marty is going to tell us a little more about it. First of all, you're an LTN virgin, Marty. Great to have you, and we hope we have a nice, long, and fruitful relationship. Great to have you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Now, tell us a little about the Platinum Program and what it means for the racers.
Well, I came into this position about 4 months ago, and we started reevaluating some things that, the series has been around for 2 years, and they had what was called the Winner's Circle program for the full-time teams. And everyone had done a great job building this out for the last 2 years. I'm kind of getting the benefits of it. I'm walking in, the foundation's there, and now I'm trying to evaluate and help elevate that. And one of the things with the Platinum program is it costs a lot of money to race nowadays, as most know, and it costs us a lot of money to put on these events. So we're trying to look at that relationship with the teams and the owners, and we need to get it across the board at some point, and we're working that on a 3-year plan. But to start out, our Platinum full-time drivers, they're going to get some substantial benefits to not only help monetarily get them to the track, but for their commitment, but also to help them elevate their platforms in the digital media side. So ultimately, we built this off a 10 race team program. Felt like if we could get 10 race teams committed and help them out, it would be a great start on year one with it. And we've surpassed that already. So it's a $655,000 program. If you break that out per team, about $65,500 in monetary value. And like I said, we've passed that 10 mark, but my boss is committed to it, so we're not going to cap it. We're going to keep going here and see what we end up with. But it has a lot of elements to it.
Marty, my background is dirt late model racing. I was on a dirt late model team for 20 years in the upper Midwest here and follow the World of Outlaws and Lucas Oil Series. And for years we've been talking about how if there was a way we could take the asphalt stuff and kind of mirror what the dirt teams do. Now, looking at this Platinum program here, it looks a lot like that. And is that your ultimate goal to kind of solidify it like the Lucas and the World of Outlaws series have done to get those drivers to buy in and make names out of them? Is that your ultimate goal with this?
Yeah, it is, exactly. And people have been mentioning that, and I'm not going to say that I sat here and created this on my own. That if we're not looking at what other series are doing, whether it's on asphalt or dirt, then I'm not doing my job, and our team's not doing the job. So I was very fortunate. I've been in asphalt for 30-plus years. It's my passion, my heart. I had a great opportunity 2 years ago, roughly, to go to work for Rico Abreu on the sprint car side, and
cool.
I learned so much over there. 2 years and just short of 2 years in dirt working for Rico. Rico's a master at promoting himself, selling merchandise, social media. So not only did I get to learn the whole dirt side, but I've learned it from a driver standpoint that's built his brands and his platforms out himself essentially for years. And then I got to look at the World Outlaws and the High Limits, essentially programs similar to this. And, so exactly what I did. I brought some of that back with me, not all of it, of course, and we're trying to blend that in. It's very successful. No one can argue that the dirt is where it's at right now, and we need to catch up, and we are catching up and continue to try to elevate to that level.
And we had Matt Weaver on this program two weeks ago, and we talked about this very same subject, and one of the things he brought up was that somehow we got to get asphalt super late model racing to get away from this stigma that they are a stepping stone to NASCAR. When you're in the World of Outlaw sprint cars or late models, that's kind of the top of the line on the dirt stuff. But on asphalt racing, this is just a stepping stone. How do we get away from that and get this to a point where this is the top of the line? Guys can make a living doing this, I guess is where it is. How do we get to that point?
Well, a couple of things there. The Stars National Tour, I'm very fortunate. I have multiple series under the umbrella of Track Enterprises I work with and with. We have the ASA Stars National Tour, which is our super late top tier, I guess you would say. We also have the ASA Midwest Tour run by Greg McCarnes, a very successful series through the Midwest for years. And so we have that platform, and then I have the CRA JEG series. And we also have a really good strategic alliance, Tim Bryant down there that runs the Southern Super Series. He's been in with Bob since day one on this. So I have so many resources. So when you talk about stepping stones, we already have the stepping stones within our umbrella, and that essentially, not saying one's better than the other, but what each individual racer, what they want to do with their career, whether they want to stay as a family-run true grassroots deal, then that's fine too, and you can implement that in all of these different levels of platforms. But you kind of look at the CRA JEGs and then the Midwest Tour, regional series, and then you kind of elevate up to the Stars National Tour. So we've built out our own. They have built out prior to me their own stepping stone, if we want to use that word, within our asphalt grassroots racing system already. Now, if one chooses to go on up to the upper series of NASCAR, the Truck Xfinity Cup, then yeah, that's great. If we could get some drivers that come out of our series and have the opportunity to go up there and do that level of racing, then of course we're going to help support that and be for that. And hopefully they'll come back down and support us, which you're already seeing that happen, and when they can with their busy schedules. But ultimately, we're building a brand around the ASA that we are here in grassroots. Our focus is to retain and promote and help our drivers to stay right where they want to be. Most of them want to be, don't have aspirations to go up to the top 3 series, and some do. So we need to accommodate both of those things, and work with those teams and different drivers of what their goals are. So for me not to entertain all those or look at how to entertain all those would be a short sell to everybody in grassroots racing. But by no means do we want that stigma that we're 100% behind just promoting and pushing drivers on. We have some great drivers that I have no doubt that if they would have had different opportunities, to typically monetarily, would have been very successful in the upper 3 series. And those names are Bubba Pollard and Stephen Nazi and Derek Thorne, and we got Justin.
Great names right there.
Those are great names, and you know what? Those are in our series, and those are kind of we're building pivotal pivots around them right now, because if you talk to those guys, most of them, not all of them, Justin's still making a push up, but most of them are very content with where they're at, and they're committed to grassroots super late model racing.
We're talking to Marty Mello. He is the director of operations for the ASA Stars Series. Marty has agreed to hold on through this break, and we're going to get more about the future of the ASA Stars Series when we come back.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller's Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company, in the heart of Wisconsin, is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at WagnerAutomotive.com.
The checkered flag is waved over the racing season at the Fair Park in Plymouth. Congratulations to the champions, Brad Miller, Will Source, Travis Schmidt, and Ben Schmidt. Plymouth Dirt Track Racing thanks all the drivers and pit crews for their ongoing dedication. The loyal, dedicated track workers are the best at what they do every week. A big thank you also to the many businesses for their sponsorships, and of course the fans who make it all possible. The green flag will wave for another season next spring. We'll see you there.
Sunday, it's on again. Packers, Bears.
Here's the snap. Placement made. The kick is blocked, and the Packers have won. Beautiful.
Doug Russell in the Potawatomi Sportsbook pregame show is live at 8 a.m. on 97.3 The Game.
We are chatting with the director of operations of what I'd like to think as the major league of super late model racing, Marty Mello. From the ASA Stars Series. Great to have you on for the first time.
Hey, Marty, it's PJ Noodleman. I've got a couple questions regarding kind of leading up to each of the races on the schedule. Do you guys have something in place to kind of limit how many weeks out from an event that racers can practice at that track, or even how many days of practice per each event? Because I think that's kind of part of the way that this series or this super late model racing is kind of eating itself, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we are constantly evaluating those, and we do. And our first points race at New Smyrna on February 11th, we do have a testing policy within our rule book. It's 14 days prior to the event. So that will be in effect as of right now for 2025. There's a little question on the Speed Fest coming up, which is a CRA Southern Super Series joint sanctioning there with the ASA brand coming up here in a couple weeks at Cordell. Now that we actually lifted the tested policy, which has been the MO on that, just because there's so many teams rolling out with the quick break they had with new equipment. And we're on some newer tires, so there is some open testing allowed for that one. But yes, 14 days testing policy.
And then how many days of practice is usually going to be the rule of thumb for each event?
That's another great question, and that's we're listening to the teams, and we're looking at our costs too. And these longer, some events we're not going to get away from our 3 or even 4 days. Your big Winchesters and potentially all Americans. Those events are so large, and there's so much support classes coming in that they just have to be that way to a degree. Now, what we'd like to be to is that 2-day, possibly some single-day events, which we've incorporated that. So that's cost saving, right? Some teams can afford to go for 3-4 days, and we're not just thinking at track stuff. That's just part of it. It's the travel, it's the hotels for the teams and our series. So that all adds up. So everywhere we could slim that down, but still be a premier series and give everybody what they need. So great question. So here's the question right now. Some will say one day. Well, the people are saying the 1 day, and we do have some 1 day shows scheduled this year. Slinger Speedway being one of them. So there's a couple there. 2 days. Think about this, and I listen to the racers, and so does Bob very much, and everyone on our staff is. We've got teams that we need more than just the top tier teams coming. We need those teams that want to come do this, that are jumping into our shows 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year. And they're not up to par of rolling through our stringent tech. If it's stringent, we're trying to keep that very fair and consistent. So we don't want to push them through on a 1 day show. And then they get one push through. And then the second time, if they don't fix it, per the rule book, there could be a penalty for qualifying, right? So we don't want that to happen and discourage these other teams. But that's where the 2 day comes in. You got a whole day to practice and more so push through tech and get things right before you have to push through tech on that qualifying day.
I think a 2 day is fair. I think that's solid.
Yeah. I think 2 days is kind of where everyone's wanting to land. And Freddie Query, our tech guy, and Tim Bryant, everyone involved is looking at that, and I think you're going to see more 2 day shows, a couple single day shows, and that's kind of where we're going to try to balance that this year and see how that works for everyone.
How about the race format? Are you guys still doing the stage racing, and are there good sponsorship dollars available for people who win each of those segments if you're doing it?
There is, yeah. Our plans right now is to stay with that. We run 3 stages, we have these competition caution breaks, as we call them. We don't want live pit stops, but we do that, and last year that was $1,000 per stage break. And I see that staying in place currently, if not growing. So there's just a lot of other monies in there that we're trying to give opportunity to the race teams to pick up some cash. It's not all about just winning and getting the big number on top. We're very aware of spreading that purse down. And it really comes down, it comes down to me, BJ. I do the marketing, and the more money we influence into the program, the more we can support the racers and start building that purse from the top down.
We're pretty excited you're coming to Slinger Speedway on Father's Day, Marty.
Yeah, let's talk about that. That is so exciting for everybody. There's been some rule packages are a little different from Midwest racers, Midwest Tour, and everyone up in here. So that's been a point of contention the last few years prior to me. And we came in line with each other this year to get those races. We'll be at Madison on Friday, June 13th, International Speedway. And then we'll have Saturday, we'll be at Slinger Speedway, no on track, but again, push through tech, get the cars ready. We're going to have a pit party. And then Sunday, the Father's Day, June 15th, it will be ASA Stars National Tour running for the first time at Slinger Super Speedway, which is, we all know how iconic that is. And we can't thank Todd Thielen enough to give us the opportunity to come there. And I think he's excited, his staff's excited. So we're really excited about that double weekend up in the Wisconsin area.
Marty, have you and Todd discussed the amount of laps yet?
Yeah, so on that, yeah, absolutely. We had a call last week with our race director, series director, which is oh boy, I'm drawing a blank there. Scott Minlin, thank you. Scott Minlin has worked with Todd, so I don't get too much in the weeds on that. We have kind of an unwritten policy that our Stars National Tour will never be less than 200 laps. So we're trying to find that balance also with the tires and with the tracks and the size of the track. So I would guess that it's going to be between 225 and 250. Don't hold me to that. That's a Scott Minlin decision, and working with Todd's input. And they actually had that conversation. We're not coming in there to try to mimic the Slinger Nationals. I mean, that's an unbelievable event, right at the top of the charts for the national event. So we're kind of do some things a little different, but with our flavor. But I'd move Hitster the vet. It's going to land between that 225, 250 area.
All right, but because the reason I ask, ASA, the old ASA had one race at Slinger Speedway, early 80s. I'm thinking 84, maybe 83, perhaps, which Mark Martin won. But at that time, it was a 300 lapper, and I think he won by a lap or two. So that really talked back in the old days when this. The first time around. Marty, it's been great having you on, and I certainly hope we keep the lines of communication open.
Yeah, I'm here for you now, and whenever you need me. Questions, call me. I could jump on availability, and I think the more we continue to talk about where these grassroots programs are growing to, the better for everybody.
Thanks a lot. Marty Mello joining us from the ASA Star Series. We do appreciate it. We're going to take a break and be back. Hang in there with us.
PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit BonafideSafe.com.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
Sunday, Packers, Bears.
And it's blocked! It is blocked! And the Packers have won!
Doug Russell in the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Bet Above the Rest pregame show is live at 8 a.m. on your home for Packers football. 97.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back. Season 41. A few racing deals happened this week. I don't know how you finalize a sale. I guess the rumors came true or whatever. Front Row got their charter from Stuart Haas, and they announced that Noah Gregson, who's going to drive their car, is going to be number 4. So the number actually came along with the charter. That's interesting. Drew Blickensderfer, you've heard the name before. He used to be Matt Kenseth's crew chief back in the day. He's been around. He's been with different teams. He's going to be the crew chief on this number 4 car. And what I thought was interesting about that whole thing is that much of the crew is coming along from Stuart Haas Racing. So, you know, which guys, I don't know, but it's going to be left over for the guys that are left over and didn't find other employment after Stuart Haas Racing closed its doors look like they're going to be going along for the Gregson car. So that's kind of cool. Also, Zane Smith, that's no surprise. I think we talked about that in the past. Speaking of Front Row, he'll be number 38. So what are they, Dan? 4, 34, and 38 are the 3 numbers?
Yes, yeah, 4, 34, 38. Basically,
Todd Gilliland is the other one.
Right, the other one in 34. They used to have 34, 36, 38. They just scrapped 36 and put 4 on the car.
Put number 4 on it. No, those single digits, you know, it's kind of a big deal. They did come up with a plan for Martin Truex. What's going to happen, David Gilliland is the owner of Tricon Racing. They don't have a charter. They don't even have a cup car. They don't need a cup car. That's going to be the listed car owner for Truex. The number is still to be determined. It's going to be a Truex car a Gibbs car with Gibbs people, and it's going to be under the name Tricon Motorsports, which is owned by David Gilliland, and that's where Truex is going to race in the 500. And Brian, this is not exactly a backmarker thing. This could be a winner in that race, even though
absolutely.
Truex hasn't, won a Daytona 500 yet, but that's not really the whole deal there. This is a car with a team that will be able to win the race. For Truex's basic last race in a row, right? I mean, after last season, so
he's come within inches. I mean, I think.
Yeah.
What year was that, Dan? He didn't Hamlin beat him by like an inch or two?
Yeah, 2016. We thought he won it. We were all disappointed because Kenseth lost the lead in the last turn, but it was between the 7, 8, and the 11, and I really thought Truex won it at first, and then the scoring showed that Hamlin barely edged him out. It was the closest 500 finish ever we got to see.
Yep. Yeah. So they're going to put their best foot forward for Martin to get one more shot at winning that race because he's come so close to it. But that's a crapshoot race, as we said before. You have no idea who's going to be in the front. So.
Dan, you had a pretty good idea when they didn't announce a number, what it could possibly be. I didn't really think much about it before, but I think you might have hit it on the head.
Well, people online have been speculating what number will it be, and one they put up was 56. That was the number he ran when he was with Michael Waltrip Racing back.
Sure is available, isn't it? That's not
because I think the 78 is used by that BJ McLeod team, so that's already out there unless they would somehow
Live Fast Motorsports. Yeah, they have the 78.
I don't know whether number 19 obviously is going to be used. That'll be Chase Briscoe. So
56.
One is out there. One thing, what numbers he ran? He ran 8 and he ran 1, and those are already taken. So
interesting. Also this week, we have learned that Corey LaJoie looks like he is SOL. He's not going to be brought back to drive the 51 car next year. Rick Ware owns it. Cody is his kid, right, Dan?
Yes.
Some kind of wannabe IndyCar driver, isn't he?
He's been all around, even because Rick Ware has teams everywhere, sports car racing, IndyCar racing, and even some NASCAR stuff. He's kind of bounced around, but it's a family deal.
And so, here's another one of those. Corey LaJoie has a very nice social media presence. He is a great interview. He's a nice-looking kid. He does a show on Sirius Radio. He's out there. But at the end of the day, you gotta contend for wins. And yes, he did contend for a win or two at Atlanta, but at the end of the day, you gotta do something. And Corey LaJoie I think he's wore out his welcome. But there's another theory, Dan, right?
Well, some people are speculating that that Tommy Baldwin's the general manager over there. There might be some kind of a rift there between them that he wasn't happy with him, and it went back to a modified race like 2 years ago where, Corey, he wrecked the Tommy Baldwin's driver to win the race, or he moved him to win the race, or did something back then. That's just all speculation online, which you can go down that rabbit hole and try to figure that out. But we do know racers have long memories. I mean, if you talk to anybody that races or any racer out there, they'll never forget when they got moved to win a big race. And if that was the case, maybe that came about it. I don't know.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of a new De Benedetto. Same type of thing. Had a great social media presence, a lot popular that way, and LaJoie is the same way. But you don't get too many chances to win races, and when that chance comes, you better jump on it. Where the heck was that De Benedetto could have won?
Bristol. The 95.
Oh, yeah.
He couldn't get around. Ryan Newman was a lap down, and he wouldn't get around Ryan Newman. And
that's a tough take.
Yeah, but if it's your first win, then you got to move that guy. You have to get around. You can't let somebody hold you up like that, and that cost him the race. I think that was a big deal at the Benedetto that showed everybody, it was in his lap right there. Just do it. If you wanted it super badly, you would have moved the lap car, and he didn't do it. He raced clean and was a nice guy, but I think it cost him in the end.
And, if that doesn't remind you of our buddy Ted Musgrave when he had a chance of moving that 88 car to win a race at Darlington. He didn't do it, and he wasn't around much longer after that either. So that's the way of the world. We'll be back with some results. Oh, my God, do we have results? We'll be back.
From From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines. Just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company in the heart of Wisconsin is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at WagnerAutomotive.com.
The checkered flag is waved over the racing season at the Fair Park in Plymouth. Congratulations to the champions, Brad Miller, Will Source, Travis Schmidt, and Ben Schmidt. Plymouth Dirt Track Racing thanks all the drivers and pit crews for their ongoing dedication. The loyal, dedicated track workers are the best at what they do every week. A big thank you also to the many businesses for their sponsorships, and of course the fans who make it all possible. The green flag will wave for another season next spring. We'll see you there.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
We'd like to take a moment and remember all those NFL players with a broken heart.
Cairo Santos for the game. Here's the snap. The kick is blocked. And the Packers have won. Beautiful. And the Packers have won 11 straight over the Bears.
Sunday, Packers, Bears. Doug Russell in the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Bet Above the Rest pregame show is live at 8 a.m. on your home for Packers football. 97.3 The Game.
And now the LTN Hour presents Dirt on the Dirt with Brian Schmidt.
That's right. New year means new dirt results. There is no off season really in dirt track racing. We get started on Monday morning. Anybody wake up Monday morning and turn on Flow at about 7 o'clock in the morning and see a race on? It was in Perth, Western Australia, the Perth Motorplex for the High Limit Sprint Car Series. They went overseas. It was not points or anything like that, but took their series overseas, and they had a $100,000 to win feature. Kyle Larson was there. It was a heck of a race. Kyle Larson took the win, grabbing $100,000 at 7:30 on a Monday morning. That's a good way to start a week, I would say.
No kidding.
Fast forward back here to the United States. Last night in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Tulsa Shootout. 646 entries among 6 classes of micro sprint racing. We don't usually do a lot of micro sprints, but this was not your ordinary micro sprint race. The non-winged outlaw feature, which was 55 laps. Christopher Bell versus Kyle Larson. If you stayed up and watched that last night, that was one heck of a race. Kind of reminded me of the Chili Bowl from years ago. And Christopher Bell held off Kyle Larson to pick up the big micro feature win there. And Christopher Bell got out of the car, and the first thing he said was, "Thank you, Joe Gibbs, for allowing him to go back dirt track racing again." And he is loaded for bear. Expect both of those guys to contend in the Chili Bowl in 2 weeks. The outlaw winged micro feature win went to Kyle Larson. He then hopped in a winged A class micro sprint. Kyle Larson won that from 11th. And the non-stock wing micro feature, that went to Brett Cruz. And then there were junior sprints there that Brexton Bush was in, and he picked up the feature win in that. So a very successful Tulsa Shootout. They take a week off, and the 327 total entries for the Chili Bowl will get going 1 week from today with practice, and then they will race the entire week of the 13th, concluding their feature on Saturday, the 18th. Also yesterday, Talladega, Alabama, at the Talladega Short Track, the annual Ice Bowl. Super late models were there. Sam Seawright was your winner in the 604 crates. That went to Jimmy Thomas. And the big money race of the weekend, and for the next week and a half, will be in Vado, New Mexico for the 19th annual Wild West Shootout. $25,000 to win in the super late models last night, and Bobby Pierce grabbed the win. Late race pass to pick up the victory there. In the USRA mods, it was Cade Dillard. Mitch McGrath made the trip down there. He had some very bad luck right away out of the chute for qualifying. Didn't quite make her into turn number 1, hit the wall, and wadded up his brand new Longhorn number 74 car. And hopefully they'll get her fixed up and be back at it today. They race today for $10,000 to win. They race again on Wednesday for $10,000 to win. And then next week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, concluding next week Sunday with a $25,000 to win event down in Vado, New Mexico. So that is everything for this week.
On the pavement side of things, we're going to widen the scope a little bit because it is somewhat the off season for pavement. The Impact Survival Series Chill Chaser Enduro at Toma Sparta Speedway happened. Davey Pennell pretty much led the whole race until he broke his right front wheel hub with about 14 laps left, and that handed the lead over to Justin Shalitsky. Yeah, Justin.
Careful.
I don't want to cuss, so I'm so sorry, Justin, but congrats on your win anyway. So there we are. And then Saturday, last night, we had the Red Eye running at New Smyrna Speedway. The super late models, they had, about 8 cars there for that.
It was terrible.
It was unfortunate.
Scott was going to give us a on-site, he's going to be our reporter from down there. And when he saw the car count, he turned around and left.
Oofda. Well, Gavin Boschel was the winner of the super late. The pro lates also ran. Max Reeves was the winner there. They had 13 cars for that, so a little better in that regard.
Jade Avedisian was in that event. I think she finished 8th, making her debut in a pro late model.
Out of 9 cars?
13.
No, there were 13. So.
Yeah. New Year's Eve, the New Year's Bash at Dillon Motor Speedway down in South Carolina. Last night, they had the street stock qualifying. Fast timer was Bobby Tumbleston. They had an invert of 12, so Chris, I don't remember how to say his name. He starts in the pole. But we had a veteran Rockford racer, Adam Cartwright. He made the race. He was 19th in qualifying, so he will be running as well. Joey Pontbriand is 27th and Joshua Lundy 31st. Both of them and the rest of the drivers outside the top 20 are going to be running that last chance race, which is today, where the top 6 will advance. And then today's race from that New Year's Bash can be seen on Racing America. And that's
races around the state of Wisconsin, right, Dan? I remember.
He does. He has a super late that Toby. It's a Toby car, believe it or not. He races at Norway.
Yeah, it's out of Upper Michigan in Norway.
He's a regular up there, but he does come around, and we've seen him. Dan, I know I can remember him at Slinger, right?
Oh yeah, the 7 car.
By the way, that New Year's Bash, James Swan used to go down. In fact, he did for many years, and for one reason or another, he didn't go this year. So.
They'll be back next year, they said.
Yeah.
They're actually having a watch party on Rockford today. They're all getting together to watch it, so he's still going to be a part of it.
That's pretty good. There's some positive things we've heard today about short track racing, I think, and we needed to see some positives, I think, and there's great reason for optimism, I think, in the near future in the sport, don't you think? I think we've turned the corner. Is that safe to say?
I think Marty Mello is the right guy in that position, and I hope that the powers that be continue to empower him to be able to put forth some ideas and help execute it. How I think he's got a great vision.
You always say it's about the people you put around it, and the people are what make things work. And if you get the right people, things can happen. And he sure sounds like it. Now the bottom line is to get the teams to support it. That's going to be the biggest test.
You got a foundation here that's spectacular all over the place. The pieces have always been there. You just got to have somebody to keep them all, pulling on the same page and going the same direction. Everybody's got the same common goal, and they all got way different ways to get there. And I think you got to have somebody to kind of keep them all going the same way and keep it all in place. And that looks like what he's doing so far.
And, I think he even said they were hoping for 10 cars.
He said they have 10 cars. So far they've announced Billy Van Meter, Austin Nason, Derek Thorne with Highlands Motorsports.
It's a new ride.
Mm-hmm. Chase Pincinot from Hosevars Racing, Rhett Jones Racing, which is Ben Kyle Steckley, not sure if it'll be Kyle again next year, and then Cole Butcher with Donnie Wilson Racing. I think we can rest assured that there'll be at least 2 more Donnie Wilson cars into the mix They just probably wanted to announce the biggest one first, which is Cole Butcher.
Campy car you would probably expect to, right? Don't you think Anthony Campy would probably put one in there eventually?
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Either way, very positive news. I think we turned that corner. We'll be right back.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit PMFlandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
The Milwaukee Admirals have a 2-game winning streak. They'll try to make it 3 when they host the Manitoba Moose Wednesday night at Panther Arena. In front of the net, a couple of swats at it. The puck in the cage. It is! The Admirals score! Pre-game coverage at 6:30. Face off at 7 on Fox Sports 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Welcome back to LTN's 41st season premiere. I think it's kind of funny how they, we have political speak. You know what it is. When something really sucks, they say opportunity. There's a good opportunity. Well, I love this one. The Chicago street race next year, this is the last year of the 3-year deal, and the quote is, they are unsure if it's coming back after this year. Unsure? How about where the hell are you going to race? How about Road America? It seemed like we did a pretty damn good job up here in Cheeseland.
It did, but I don't know. It just seems unlikely because it's not a NASCAR-owned track, and it's not the pizzazz that they want for their, ratings. Although the Chicago race, I believe that's going to be during the Amazon Prime portion of the schedule. So, no, when you see the word unsure, that pretty much tells you this is it. So. This is the last of the 3-year contract. Now, there's been talk, and, you got the big oval right down, about 45 minutes west of downtown Chicago that's sitting there that, these new cars would put a hell of a show on. But then if you want the pizzazz and you want to go to Southern California, there's talk that maybe San Diego would be a place you'd have a street race. So we'll see if that's something they're going to look into. You would think if that's something you're going to be doing in 2026, you got to get going on that earlier, So probably by the time we leave Chicago in July, they ought to have some sort of plan in place for what they're going to do going forward.
Well, I'm sure they're already working on something. They're just trying to decide which street they want to race on.
Well, and then when you're in the middle, like we talked earlier, when you're in the middle of people suing you, you also have to be careful as to how much money you're going to spend to do all this type of stuff.
True that.
It's going to cost you $60 to $70 million or whatever. If it was $50 million to do this thing in Chicago, you're going to at least have that, if not more. If you're going out to California to build a street circuit, they got to be careful on that as well. So a lot of moving parts.
See if their pants getting pulled down first.
Ryan, you had the right idea. It's come around to where a 1.5-mile track oval might just be a pretty good. Well, geez, what could we replace the Chicago street course race with that might be, in the neighborhood?
Right. You're not going to be able to sell $1,200 tickets like you do in downtown Chicago. You're going to have to probably have them priced at, $50, $60 to get people there. But, everybody, there's talk that people want to have one more shot there. So this would be it. And NASCAR would roll it out just like that. This is it. 2026, we're going to come back to the oval. People either show up or that's it. We're going to sell the property and get out of there. Because they haven't sold the property
right.
yet.
You're probably right.
Yeah, and in 2019 we were told, there are maps out there showing where they partitioned off, where they're going to sell it, and this, that, and the other thing, and none of that has come to fruition. I mean, I went in October to the World of Outlaw race at the Oval down there and drove around the property. Nothing's changed. It's still there. They ran a motorcycle race there in 2023, so the lights still work. The property's still there. The grass is cut. Wouldn't take much to go racing there again.
I think you're right.
The bleachers?
They're all there. Nope, everything's still there.
I think Brian's right.
But it could be a placeholder for a couple of years, because with it being gone for all these years, people flocked there the first year back. Hey, we're back at Chicago Speedway. Everybody want to go. And then about 2 or 3 years into that, it kind of dwindle off again. But it gives them time to go find another thing to replace it.
Not a bad idea. It wouldn't cost them. They wouldn't have to pave the LA Coliseum to do it. It's right there.
Same thing happened with the NHRA. When the NHRA went away from the strip down there in Chicago, people, it didn't really matter. Well, then a couple of years went by where they didn't race there, and then Dan and I went back that first year, tons of people there. So that's kind of the society we live in today. We used to always have the same schedule every year, and we've kind of gone away from that, where something needs to be new all the time to get people's attention. It's kind of sad that that's the way it is, but that's just the truth. So this constantly moving schedule, I think, is what we're going to have to see.
Yeah, it's not the worst thing, although when they're talking about racing in Saudi Arabia, I'm not real sure that's a good idea unless you do some kind of a, exhibition race and you pay the drivers to make the long trip and pay the owners.
That's the Formula One guys, how much they like going to Saudi Arabia.
I mean, they tried that international. So I get NASCAR wants to be on an international level, but I mean, they tried Japan, they tried Australia. It was okay, but it never really was anything sustainable. I mean, I'm not sure.
Mexico City coming.
Yeah, I mean,
let it go.
Mexico and Canada are we're all connected. It's not that all the way overseas kind of thing.
We still have an open border, Todd.
Right.
Yeah, well, that'll be fixed in about 14 days, if I remember right. It's a quintessential. There's a word for you. Ooh. It's a quintessential American racing series. We don't need Canada. We don't need Mexico. We sure as hell don't need to go to Saudi Arabia. Just pick the good tracks and.
I mean, if they went up to that fancy oval in Canada, what is it? Junk. What does it start with a J, Dan? Remember that? Jacuna?
Jakarta?
Yeah, that's a cool oval. That's not that far from Detroit. That would be cool.
Jakarta, yeah.
Jakarta, that's it, yeah. That would be cool. I'd be all for that.
What city is that?
It's not that. It's near Toronto, I think. East of Detroit, somewhere in that kind of area there. I remember seeing a picture of it.
North of Michigan.
If you're hell bent on racing out of the country, if you have an established, decent oval where you don't have to, put up barriers and race around street corners, it sure makes a lot of sense. And what do we really? No, I was going to say, I'm not sure that this Mexican thing matches that description where we're going to go down there and
no, but it's an existing course. The Formula One runs on it, and they're going to pack the place for that race. So.
And Daniel Suarez is going to be the man too, and that's pretty cool, I think. Hey, thanks for being a part of our first program of the 41st season of LTN. Packers play early today, huh? Another hour? Yeah, that'll be fun. By the way, you should be able to hear it right here on the game, 97.3. Hey, until next week, we want you to remember that real race cars have doors, even if they do climb in through the windows. Let's Talk NASCAR is produced and directed by Dangerous Dan Margetta, 55 years of them. And our engineer, of course, Matt Losey. For all of us involved, we appreciate you. And we'll see you next week, everybody.
This program has come to you live from multiple locations via Skype. Any and all comments expressed on this show do not necessarily express the opinions of this station, its employees, or advertisers. Your comments are always welcome at mail@ltnradionetwork.com. Find us at facebook.com/LTN Radio Network. And thank you for your support since 1985. Tune in again next Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time for the LTN Hour on the LTN Radio Network.